Thank you so much for being with us to discuss a topic that is vital from every perspective. It's clean air and innovation in the space of clean air. What is happening at the level of innovators? What is happening at the policy level? What is happening globally? What is happening in Europe? Of course, this topic has already come up in the first panel of the day, the one talking about the state of Cleantech in Central and Eastern Europe. But as we could see also from the questions coming from you, from the audience, there's a lot of interest in this topic. So it's fantastic that we have a chance to go further into detail. Now, I wanted to share with you maybe two things that bind us all together. And of course, the first one is rather obvious. And you may think that to some extent, you know, it's well known, which is that, of course, we're all breathing air if we're alive, right? But this is, you know, binding us to the rest of the people on the planet, to the question received earlier as to why focus on Europe and not on the rest of the world, where actually Europe is a part of the rest of the world. So the air that we breathe everywhere matters. The second factor that binds all of us together is that 99% of us are breathing air that is out of norms with the healthy, let's say, air quality levels as identified by the World Health Organization. So that's basically all of us, nearly. And so this is why it really matters to start understanding how that's impacting our lifespan, our overall health, and of course the health of everyone we care about on this planet. Now, how bad is this? You might think, oh, if it's 99% of the world population exposed to this, then perhaps it's not that bad. So actually, I'd say it's very bad. And the numbers show that actually there are 7 million deaths annually linked to poor air quality. And when we zoom in Europe, there's of course various studies, and there's some that look at, let's say, 50,000 premature deaths that are linked to a certain source of pollutants, but overall 400,000 premature deaths that could be attributed to various situations of air pollution across the continent. So it is extremely serious, and it is really a matter of public health that we discuss about it. Now, it's also quite interesting because climate change and air pollution are increasingly together threatening food production around the world. And we will have a chance on this panel to also look at what's being done by one of the innovators present with us today in this regard. Obviously, this is only making the challenge of ending world hunger even more challenging. Now, maybe I should mention that the air pollutant with the strongest evidence for adverse health effects is fine particulate matter. Some of us refer to it as PM2.5. So if you hear the panelists referring to this, note that they are referring to this most, let's say, impactful, negatively impactful pollutant in the air when it comes to our health. And of course, it's really important to note that there has been progress made, despite the dire situation I've just painted. So when we actually look at 2005 to 2022, we see that there's been a drop of 45% in this particulate matter in Europe. I'll want to invite the panelists to contradict me if any of these numbers have been challenged. So if I'm using the wrong ones, as there might be more recent reports, but certainly there is progress made. And the fact that there's progress made also allows us to learn from what has worked. What's the right combination of policy, innovation, and financial support that can drive this forward faster, so that we don't need to wait, another, let's say, 17 years to drop another relevant percentage, but that we can envision already living in a healthier, cleaner air by 2030, by the end of this decade. With this having been said, I'd like to introduce my stellar panelists, starting with Marcin Grądzki, who's the Director of Air Quality and Climate Policy Department of the city of Warsaw. He's right here to my right. To his right, there is Aneta Skubida, who's the Poland Portfolio Manager for the Clean Air Fund, the biggest philanthropy in the world focused on air quality. And next to her is Nick Oseyko, the CEO and founder of Carbominer, which is a direct air capture technology company based in Kyiv, Ukraine, that is connecting air pollution to the challenge of food security in a very interesting way, which he'll tell you more about. And I should also mention that Nick has just arrived from Kyiv. So thank you so much for taking this journey to be with us today. Marcin, I'd like to actually invite you to be the first speaker and share with the audience here what projects you've been leading on at the city level in Warsaw. I have heard a fantastic developments when it comes to clean air that you have led, and it's really most encouraging. I can already sense the difference. I was a student here 10 years ago, and it was a very different kind of setup when it comes to air quality. I recall it distinctively. So please let us know what you've been up to for the past years, what has worked, and also what hasn't worked. Where do you find to be the biggest obstacles?
Thank you, Susan. I love the question because it gives you a feeling that we are completely free of the issues now. We overcome all problems, and now we have to share, what worked and what is not working. But that's not true, basically, because we made an amazing job. We now, over the past 10 years, become a city meeting all standards, currently EU standards, which is fantastic news from 2023. That's the year when we were compliant with all of this. However, there is WHO standards and there is AAQD directive, right? So it's not an ending point for us, it's a starting point again, and we have to do more and more and more. But as I mentioned, we did a lot. And well, the main source of pollution here in Warsaw a couple of years ago was the solid fuel stoves, or the furnaces, or the smokers, whatever you call it. So single household stoves based on coal. And we were able to eliminate 90% of this, which was a huge game changer regarding air quality. We had issues with transport-related emissions as well. It is changing currently. 40% of our bus and public transport stock is now low emission or zero emission, and that's a huge success as well. But still, we still have a lot to do, and we know that it's not it's not an elephant in the room. We know there is still much to do, and one of the most important bottleneck or issue or problem or our let's say our issue is the people. It's not about technology, it's not about innovations, it's not about regulation. Regulation helps, but mostly it's about people, it's about emotions. You are currently in Warsaw, Poland, coal-based economy, and for many years coal was a symbol of safety, energy safety. It was a symbol of cheap energy that comes from Poland. It was a national treasure almost. So it's very difficult to convince people that, now you have to switch from coal, the source you know very well. The source was the main factor of the Polish economy for many years, and you have to switch to renewables. But apparently at some point, Polish coal became too expensive, and the quality of Polish coal became too low to be used in a single household, right? So what was the most similar source of energy for Poles to switch? Gas, natural gas, another solid fuel, another, way to tackle down air quality, of course, because it helps, but not for the climate policy. For the climate policy, it's like, it's a blind end. And that's the most important challenge for us, how to talk to people, how to handle emotions, how to convince them that renewables are the way to be independent, to be safe, to be stable about the prices. And that's a huge, that's a huge potential for innovators, for AI to step in. So not actually to work on technology, not actually to work on the equipment, but to handle the emotions, to handle the way we think about energy and what we can do. And I would say that that's an issue. And even in our case, I will give you an example. We provided up to 100% of capital costs for our residents. That was the best subsidiary system in Poland. to switch from solid fuels, I mean coal, to either gas or renewables, so heat pumps and PVs. And over 90% of the agreements we signed was for gas. So people were not willing to switch to renewables, even if we covered the cost up to 100%. It's about mindset, it's about process. And you have to be very careful with that, and you have to find another, innovative solutions to talk with people and handle, as I said, the emotions are the main factor. And I think I will stop there.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing this background with us, and we'll have a chance to come back and ask you more targeted questions. Now, in the meantime, switching over to Aneta, you work for a pan-European organization that is supporting clean air initiatives across the EU. What would you say is the status of clean air at European level? What is being done, and how do you see Poland's role in the broader landscape?
Thanks a lot, Suzana. And let me perhaps start first from the reasons why actually do we need to deal with the air quality. Why do we need to get rid of the air pollution? Because this is the critical thing. And then I will jump back to the question, to the states of air quality in Poland and the broader region, and how is this transformation looking like. So starting from the kind of business case, why actually do we need to tackle the air pollution? There are 3 or 4 main reasons for that. First of all, health. Secondly, economy. Third, climate. And 4, which right now is more and more important in the current geopolitical situation, this is resilience. So firstly, starting from the health, as you were already hearing, the air pollution takes a very high toll of lives, of human lives, globally, in Europe, and in Poland, where I precisely focus on. So in Poland, this is around 40,000 premature deaths each year attributable to the air pollution. And this is increasingly more and more relevant, especially that right now Europe and Poland also struggles very strongly with a demographic crisis. But thinking about this number, 40,000, it's huge. It's the size of a city, but it's not all. We need to remember that not everyone dies. There is a lot of people suffering from various health issues. So these are heart attacks, these are strokes, these are problems with kidneys, these are asthmas or other respiratory problems. These are problems with fertility. This is also depression, anxiety, and problem with focus, with concentration. Everything is scientifically proven, and there is more and more evidence on those various air pollution effects. And this connects very strongly with the second reason, which is economy. Because of the healthcare costs, because of people's absence at work, because of this lower possibility to concentrate, and also because of the lower crop yields, which is also scientifically proven that air pollution is contributing to worse crop yields. Polish economy is losing at least 2% of GDP each year, according to the OECD reports. One more time, 2% of GDP of a country. This is huge. And the other reason, climate. As this was also mentioned before, majority of the sources of air pollution of which we are talking about in this region and also in Poland, they are having, the sources are the same for pollutants, which are impacting our health, and the gases which are hitting our atmosphere. The source is mainly solid and liquid fuel burning. And what is more, there are also so-called superpollutants, such as methane, tropospheric ozone. So this is ozone which is too low, too close to the surface of Earth. and so-called black carbon. In Poland, this is known as sadza, and these pollutants are proven by scientists to be perhaps they are less famous than CO2, but scientists have proven that they are responsible for as much as half of global warming to date. So tackling them can help us really to stop quite a lot portion of climate change. And then the other part is the resilience. So many of those solutions which are supporting clean air, such as energy efficiency of housing, the renewables, localized energy, they are both good for air quality, but they are also helping to be resilient, because then people are not depending on transport of fossil fuel from a very big distance. And also, as Mr. Marcin Grądzki was saying before, that we can be independent from other countries which are not necessarily having good intentions towards the other countries. And getting back to the question about the air quality in Poland, indeed, this is improving. This is improving very, very fast. But if I could help us to imagine how much Poland is emitting, I was checking some data, and in 2021, the number of this PM2.5 that Suzana was mentioning, the amount, the weight of this pollution was 3 times as high in Poland as the weight of this building in which we are right now, the Palace of Culture and Science. So this was 300,000 tons for all Poland. For NO2, this was five times the weight of this building. But you can think that, well, actually Poland is such a huge country, so maybe this weight, this 3 or 5 with so many zeros, this is actually not so much, maybe this spreads. But here the problem is not only about the emission, but it's also about the concentration. The concentrations which are happening in certain periods. In Poland, we struggle especially with the so-called winter smog, which is coming from household heating. There are those smog episodes, and on the other hand, it's increasing. There are very high concentrations of nitrogen dioxides, which are coming mainly from transport, and this is mainly by the crowded streets, but also in front of some buildings where people are leaving their cars idling. So these are the main sources, and how it looks. The situation looks like in Poland, and the situation is fortunately improving, and where we are getting on the right track, both as Poland and as specific cities. So here there are great examples from the city of Warsaw. There are also some other cities, such as city of Krakow or city of Rybnik, which managed to reduce their number of smog days from as much as 130 days, where the air quality was very bad for people, to only, for example, 30 or 16. These are the bright examples. But majority of the cities still have a big job to be done. And to paint a bit of the picture of the region, the situation, as it was mentioned before, if we look at the map of Europe, indeed it's a little bit as if there was an iron curtain between west and east, and Poland is typically having some of the darkest, the most striking colors on this map. And our neighboring countries. But there is one country in continental Europe which is having really good air quality, and it's not only compliant with the current standards, but it's even compliant with WHO higher standards, so the air quality is really good. This country, I believe, is very well known to this community. This country is Estonia, also known for its innovativeness. They made their air quality very good thanks to switching to renewables, to heat pumps. And perhaps just one last thought which I wanted to share with you is that right now, as Marcin has mentioned, at the EU level, a new directive was adopted, which means that all the European countries, and this was approved by the member state governments, precisely for those reasons which I was mentioning before, all the countries will need to improve their air quality very much. So the target values for the pollutants will be, in majority, they will be halved. And the time to do it is basically till 2030. So there is not much time, and the pace in which this transformation should happen. For Poland, for example, this should, the transformation, the cleaning of the air should happen 4 times faster than it was happening till now. So isn't this a wonderful opportunity for entrepreneurship and innovation? Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's really the question that I think Nick was best placed to answer, as he actually is the founder of an innovative tech company in the air quality, clean air space. So perhaps you can share with us a lot on, well, as much as you want, but on your journey. What inspired you to create Carbominer? How does it actually work? How do you connect to food security? How do you see the interlinkage between these? And then I will probably have follow-up questions to each of you. So please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you for having me here. I feel a little bit uncomfortable when I'm being asked about the spark, because that story was several times shared with the media, but I hope no one here knows it. It was a family story. My youngest daughter, Sophia, she was 6 years ago, very young. She was sick, and our family doctor were visiting and checking the daughter, the health. It was the sickness was not related to the air. It was just the virus, yeah, a winter virus. But at some point, when everything was like getting to the end, the visit of the doctor, and we were lucky. We had a very experienced kids doctor. So I don't know why. I just asked the doctor. I said, Elena Petrovna, is that true that the level of health of our kids is not as good as ours, and in turn, our level of health, yeah, I don't know, maybe immune system, something, is not as good as our parents and even our grandpas and grandmas. And it was like, you know, almost like a joke. But she was serious. She said, oh, yes, there is a scientific research and not one on this. And actually, it is true. Well, I was sort of shocked. I said, well, what is the reason? And the answer was that nobody knows. Different research, different scientists, they provide different explanations. I said, who knows? Maybe this is the ecology, like air quality. Maybe this is the rising level of carbon dioxide each year in the air. Maybe this is microplastics. And you know, as an engineer by background, I reacted immediately. I recalled that carbon dioxide concentration is sort of solved problem in several situations, like in space stations out there. They know how to capture carbon dioxide and recycle it. And in the submarines, because crew, being in the closed environments, yeah, they breathe, and this issue is solved. So my immediate reaction was, so what, why don't we put a device in the corner of our room that will recirculate the air and take carbon dioxide out of it? And the immediate reaction of my wife was the spark. She said, so what? Shall we keep our kids inside all the time? And that was the point when I started to think of capturing carbon dioxide, not in the buildings, in apartments, but the outside. So, but funny story, but that's true. Coming back to the health issues, and I said that this situation, the sickness, the illness was not linked. But, you know, as a man of age, I can share examples from my life. And I have to tell you that air quality is more than serious issues. A big friend of mine, my classmate, was forced out of Kiev to the South Spain because of air quality. So the problems with her lungs was so severe that it was no choice. So we should not think about it like, you know, some scientific exercise or some, excuse me, Marcin, some bureaucratic activities. It is a vital question, life-serious question, dangerous question, the quality of the air. So with Carbominer, with our startup, we decided from the very beginning to look on the other side. In the mass perception, the carbon dioxide is the dangerous waste, which creates the growing level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, creates the problems with the global heating, yeah, the greenhouse effect. However, there are people out there who do not agree and who think that carbon dioxide is a useful feedstock. And one of such people are greenhouse operators, vertical farms operators, because they use carbon dioxide for injection. They add carbon dioxide to the inner space of greenhouses to boost the growth of the plants they grow. It is like a feedstock for them. So the idea with our project, with our startup, from the very beginning was not to fight against climate. This is also very important, but to valorize carbon dioxide, to get the value it has. And this was the reason that from the very first years, we decided that our target market will be providing carbon dioxide to greenhouse operators, to indoor agriculture. That's it.
Thank you so much. I'm very curious to know more about your innovator journey and how you struggled to find funding and where you eventually found it. But first of all, I'm very curious to actually ask Marcin what you think about the solution that Nick developed. Do you think there's a potential for it? Could you envision it, being applied in Warsaw and beyond?
I love it. I think it's innovative. I think it's very pragmatic. I think it gives you, it also helps with another issue we didn't mention currently, which is the food chain production. And how to grow food locally, how to ensure food safety, and so on and so forth. So I think the idea is great. And even, having the, issue to solution way of thinking, I really appreciate that. So fantastic technology. My only concern is, thinking about climate policy and reduction of greenhouse gases and how to handle it. This is offsetting, no? Which should be the last phase of the whole reduction and energy transition cycle. And on a large scale, it could be a shortcut for the business to rather to not think about reduction, but think about offsetting, which is quicker, easier, doesn't influence the processes, and so on and so forth. So we should find a good balance, or the regulation or standards on how to incorporate offsetting into the whole climate neutrality pathway. That's my take on that.
Yep, I agree.
But the whole idea is impressive, amazing, and yeah, really, I'm a fan of.
Thank you.
I appreciate how you've explained that actually there is some sort of a logic, a linear logic to how we solve climate change, and that of course we should focus on reductions at this point in time. I just have the impression that as the time is passing and as we're moving, let's say, relatively slow with regards to how quickly climate change is accelerating, I nearly feel, and at times I hear also European institutions talking about adaptation more and more, and the need to start creating systems that are also adapting to the already changing climate. And I see Nick's solution as actually possibly an adaptation solution also for the food crisis. And so maybe that's one way of framing it as well. We seem to be at a stage where everything is happening all at once. So Aneta, I would look to you for some more reasons to be hopeful. I'm curious to know how large is the ecosystem of partners that you have in Europe? And so if you could give us a bit of a sense as to where they're based, and then maybe on the European context, you refer to it, and it's encouraging to know that there's this push for action for 2030. I would be curious to know just if you feel that the Clean Industrial Deal has enough clean components in it when it comes to safeguarding and ensuring that, as we develop and reindustrialize, we also use this opportunity, as you say, to really accelerate cleaning up the air.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Suzana, for those questions. So, Clean Air Fund is a global organization, and we are focusing on those countries in which, on one hand, there is a very big air pollution problem, but then, on the other hand, there is a chance to tackle this problem, so that there is already certain level of awareness among the governments and among the civil society. And we are working, for example, in countries such as India, Ghana, Brazil, and I could go so on and so on. But in Europe, we are focusing on one hand, working with at the European level, at the EU level, at the Brussels level, and on the other hand, we are focusing on Poland and on some specific cities. And here we have 5 cities which are in our bigger global program, but 5 cities from Europe with which we collaborate very closely. This includes Warsaw. The program is called Breathe Cities, and this specifically is Breathe Warsaw. And thinking a little bit about the ecosystem, I would say that the ecosystem in Poland, compared to other countries, the ecosystem working for air quality, it's pretty dynamic, it's pretty diverse. There is really a lot happening, and for example, looking at the current engagement of different stakeholders in the transposition, so translation to the national law of the European directive, there is indeed a lot of involvement. But I think Polish case is also pretty specific, and here I would like to share about 2 specific partners from Poland who really made a huge impact in transforming Poles and decision makers' perspective over the air quality. One organization, I know I was not supposed to specifically mention the names, but I will maybe Suzana will forgive me.
Please go ahead. I never agreed with such a...
one organization, and I recommend also, if you're curious, checking on them. This is called Polish Smog Alert, and those people are actually having a network of local smog alerts. There is around 50 of them all over Poland, working for clean air, campaigning, raising the awareness, but also helping to build capabilities of the municipalities, advising to the government about what solution could be in place, but also sharing their practice internationally. And they have really made a huge impact. We could be like really probably organizing a whole conference about what they achieved. But the other example of organization which I wanted to bring to your attention, this is a company which also has changed pretty much the perception of the pollution. This is a company which invented cheap air quality sensors, which are also connected with applications. And thanks to spread of the knowledge about existence of A, these sensors, B, the availability of the mobile application, it suddenly became for everyone to actually be able to change the air quality in their neighborhood and on their own phones, which has revolutionized everything. And here we could probably talk about the quality of those sensors. They are, of course, not perfect, but they played a huge role because of, on one hand, the proximity of the data, on the other hand, accessibility of that, and then also translation. People were suddenly able to see what's healthy for them and what is not. So this company made also pretty big difference, and this is exactly one of the roles which the innovation can be playing and can be actually revolutionizing, changing what is later happening at the level of the law, of the implementation of very big funding programs, and so on and so on.
Thank you so much, Aneta, actually, for mentioning those two organizations because, well, as we shared on the earlier panel with Cleantech for Central and Eastern Europe, we're very open to dialogue. We are looking forward to meeting exactly innovators, making changes in topics such as clean air quality. So this is most welcome. And in fact, I will open it up to questions, but of course, not before asking Nick, what kind of support were you able to gather for your idea, and what would you actually need to see it scaled to the point where it does make an impact on food security, it does make an impact on clean air, less CO2 being emitted in the atmosphere, and so on? What's the, the vision that you have for the long term, and what needs to fall into place for it to become reality?
Thank you for this question. Our journey would be not possible at all without support of our investors. We have a Ukrainian VC fund invested in Carbominer, and we have also a business angel from Switzerland, business lady actually, who invested in Carbominer. And I think I also have to mention a great support which not only we, but many Ukrainian startups are receiving from Google. And we are part of Google for Startups program here in Warsaw, and I am proud to be a part of this community. And this, I know from my fellow colleagues, startup founders, that for many of them, I would say for major part of them, this support is really significant, and for some of them is vital. So that's indeed for any innovation, the question of support is indeed the core one. Yeah, how to get funded and how to move ahead with the innovation. Because in this particular area, some startups are software-based, but majority of teams are doing hardware like we are. And hardware innovations are difficult, expensive, and painful.
Thank you so much. Is there anything from the European level that could help you, a European instrument?
I have to say, of course, about the huge support we got from the EU. We were funded with quite a significant grant from EAC Accelerator, and this is the support which gives us the certainty, the ability to move forward.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'd like to open it up to questions now, and if I see there are no questions, I will keep asking them myself. So are there any questions? Okay, I see a gentleman raising his hand. I think he's... Yes. Please introduce yourself as well. Yes.
Hi. Thank you for the very interesting panel. My name is Alan. And my question is to Mr. Grądzki. Actually referring to your opening statement, in which you touched upon a very interesting part of energy transition and transition towards clean air initiatives, which is the mentality of people and their belief in the technology. And here I wanted to ask about the clean air initiative in Poland, the Clean Air Czyste Powietrze program, which costs a lot of Polish people to invest into heat pumps, which is great. But that caused an influx of very low quality propositions in the market that flooded the market and frankly caused people to invest into something that underperformed, glorified air conditioning units, not really heat pumps. And right now the mentality in the market is that people don't believe that this technology works, it won't work for them in the winter. I know that you can't speak for the entire country and federal programs, but what do you think could be done in future programs like this to make sure that consumers are informed enough to see the benefits and reap the benefits of such programs? Thank you.
Fantastic question. I mean, it's a main instrument in Poland to tackle down low emission in a single household. As it is exactly what you explained. So for many years it was out of control. So contractors proposed an equipment that were not tailored to the needs of the household, which led us to higher prices at the end and people losing their trust to institutions as well, because the program is a public policy program, but also to the governments. And I think a lot of lessons has been learned, and now, I mean, currently you can only use the equipment that is certified by the national institution, which is fantastic because there is no space for like the cheap equipment without any official setups. But also, in our case, we have our energy advisor services. We provide energy advisory as a service in our city. And it means you can sign up for a meeting with our energy advisor for free. He goes to your house, even with the heat camera to find out, where are the problems and bottlenecks. And he tailored the proposal, and he helps you to fill the papers for the Czyste Powietrze, so clean air program that is actually tailored for your local conditions. So it helps you, to not install too big heat pump or any other equipment that are not applicable. But it's about trust. For many, many years, it led a lot of households to energy poverty, for example. You became energy poverty because you installed heat pump instead of old coal stove that you have, and you are completely fine with the money because you can, I don't know, burn wood there or whatever. But that's a process, and this is the reason why the question is so fantastic. I mean, the very good question. Thank you for that. So I think the public sector has learned a lesson. Now the Czyste Powietrze is now again on the market. Funds are available. So let's see how it will go for the next funding period.
Fantastic. With this being said, we only have 1 minute left, which invites me to actually ask the panelists to perhaps have a final remark and to perhaps encourage you to how to frame it. I love calls to action. I think that's why we're here. Shaping tomorrow requires calls to action. So, what is the one call to action you'd like to make? Well, to this audience, but of course to everyone who will then follow, the audio visuals and everything from the conference. So many more people will have a chance to be inspired by your call to action. And may I reverse the order of the panel and actually start with Nick first?
Thank you. I have one thought to share, and this would be the full support what Marcin said in the first remark, that the answer should not be the adaptation, the answer should be the transition to the clean energy. I have brought with me a very simple fact from Ukraine. There is a very unfortunate and awful situation with the Russian aggression and a lot of deaths. However, a lot of our heat and electricity and power generation stations, which were based on the fossil fuels, because of the direct Russian attacks, were brought down, and they are not operating anymore. We have problems with the amount of electricity, with the amount of heat in Ukraine at this moment. But the numbers are speaking by themselves. The air quality, because of this significant part of fossil fuel-based energy generation dropped, the numbers for air quality improved significantly. The PM 2.5 chart shows us it improved twice. So we have a proof, an actual proof that we have to plan the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy.
Thank you for sharing that, and it's really unfortunate really to hear all the devastating impacts of the war on Ukraine. However, I think the urgency that you're referring to as well, because you're talking about a very quick drop in fossil fuel emissions, and I think if we were to actually treat air quality or air pollution as the health crisis that it actually is, we could see more governments moving quickly, or at least quicker, to phase out fossil fuels. We could all reap the benefits of such actions. But thank you for that. Aneta, over to you for your call to action.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think that I would share two very interconnected thoughts and actually connected with everything what we were saying before. So one is that we should be focusing on dual-use innovation, and this innovation, especially now in the current geopolitical situation, the innovation which would be on one hand helping us to be more prepared and to defend ourselves, be ready, but on the other hand for this civilian purpose. So right now when the governments, especially in Poland or in Europe, are spending more and more on defense, part of this spending should go also to the preparedness, and at the same time this preparedness can work for the benefit of air quality and climate. And second very interconnected thought is that air quality and climate, they are not about saving the planet. They are about our health, about our economy, about our prosperity. It is about here, now, today, and this is about our future. So we do need a mindset and narrative shift, and we do need to find the ways to get to people's hearts and provide the convincing arguments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aneta. Marcin, over to you.
So last thought from me would be cooperate with any institution that believes what you believe is worth doing. And the example from Aneta about Polish smog alert is perfect for me, because at the very beginning, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, Polish smog alert was our major critic. They completely flooded City Hall with the questions, with the interpellations, and so on and so on. And now we decided to cooperate instead of fighting with each other. And at the end, they are our partner, learning other cities in the voivodeship, in the Mazovia, how to tackle down the problem of air quality. And they became our fantastic partner, even if 5 years ago we were fighting with each other. So cooperate as much as you could, even if it's outside of your comfort zone.
Thank you all so much. And on that note, we can wrap up this panel. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.